Welcome back to the Kerbal Space Program. In our last episode, we launched our mission to Leif and landed on it. Unfortunately, our ship broke down and one of our Kerbals is now stranded on the surface of Leif. Today, we are going to start a rescue operation. To do that, we will require some new technology and we are going to unlock it now. As we will require a larger ship that will accommodate 2 Kerbals, we are going to create something new. We are going to try and build our ship in lower Kerbal orbit and then use it to rescue Jebediah or Bill or Bob. I don't actually remember which one. So the first thing we are doing is we're taking our ascent stages and creating a sub-assembly from them so that we can use it in our other rockets without any difficulty. Here we go. Just one click and the whole sub-assembly is added to the spaceship. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this nuclear engine and swap it for the normal one. For example, the LV-45. Why we're doing it? We're doing it so that our ship can land without breaking its engine. Or in other words, we are finally fixing this flaw because of which our 2 previous missions failed. And next we are going to add a docking port to this engine. Actually, we're going to use the decoupler first, then the docking port, and then another decoupler. The idea is that when we launch, we'll first use the decoupler to drop our ascent stage. We will then meet and rendezvous with the interplanetary stage, which will be launched separately. When we go and get to the Leif, we will undock, drop the docking port, land on the actual planet. After that, we will leave our interplanetary stage in the Leif orbit and use our lander to return home. You don't see the second docking port here because in this iteration it wasn't added, but it will be added in the later iteration of the spaceship. Now all I have to do is to change the command pod and add some science equipment to it. So I'm going to speed this up a little bit and I'll see you when the ship is ready. Here we go, the ship is ready. We're going to call it KISS 5.1 and now we have to create our interplanetary stage. To do that, we're going to first take this probe core and then we're going to derp around with it and try to connect it to this orange tank. Let's see what happens. At first I'll try to connect it to the side of the tank. Actually, at first I'm going to try to connect to the top, but then I realized that the top is not good enough because it will have to contain the docking port, and the probe core is just too small, and it will not be good for the connection. So in the end I decided I'll put it on the bottom. And this is how I'm trying to connect the engines to the stage. I've seen it in one of the KSP TV streams, and it looks kinda cool. In the end it will look like the engines are growing out of the sides of the tank. I think it's very neat and nice way of making it. And here we go, our orbital stage and interplanetary stage. And here is also our ascent stage from the subassembly. We're also going to add some RCS because it is something we need for the docking process. Unfortunately, the RCS will be completely unbalanced and will look horrible. And here we go. Our lander stage is being transported to the launch pad. We're going to use exactly the same launch pattern as in previous two missions, so this part will be greatly sped up. See you in the orbit. I can already tell you that both launches will be completed without any mistakes or problems. And this is just the usual launch. Nothing fancy for us now. And this lander stage is in orbit, so let's launch our interplanetary stage. As you might have noticed, there are some changes to it, namely there is one small fuel tank added to the ascent stage, just to make sure that it doesn't clip with the interplanetary stage. It doesn't change anything in the ascent trajectory or anything like that. So, see you in orbit again. So, our interplanetary stage is in the orbit, and now the easy part is over. Now, the hard part. We have to create a rendezvous and make sure that those two ships actually meet each other. That took me approximately 2.5 hours. Yeah, I'm that bad at creating those things. And honestly, it was the first time I ever tried something like that. So, yeah. I'm not going to show you the whole thing because it's full of fail and misery. But I'm going to tell you the basic idea of what I wanted to do. So, to make an encounter when two things are orbiting one body, we have to put them into different orbits, one lower, one higher, and one which is in the lower orbit will travel faster than the one in the higher orbit. That means that at some point they will get to the position in space where they will be almost at the same position. Well, very close. The only difference will be is the difference in their orbits, or somewhere close to this number. When such encounter is happening, we can adjust the orbit of one of the ships to make sure that the encounter is even closer, and from there we can do other things, which I'll explain later. For now, I'm going to cut approximately 2 hours of the footage, and we were going to get back to the point where we are close to our target, and the difference between the two spaceships is approximately 1 kilometer. See you then. And here we are. As you can see, we have a very close encounter between two of the ships. It will happen in one orbit. So let's speed the time up and see what happens. So we are approaching our closest encounter, and we're switching from the map view to the ship view. Here we can see our target, and we are trying to first to cancel our relative velocity to the target. Why do we need to do that? So that it looks like we are standing in relation to the target. From there, we can actually change our velocity very easily and approach our target in a way we want. Here we go. Our relative velocity is falling. Of course, we'll still be moving around the planet, but relative to our target, we will be standing still. And because we can move our camera that way so that we can see no other object, it will actually look like that we are moving only in relation to the target. Makes it much easier to actually see the target and create a proper encounter. And of course, it's actually rather impossible to dock something when your relative speed to this something is very high. So yeah. This is a sped up version of our last docking attempt. First, we are going to try to cancel our relative velocity completely. And now we need to approach our target as close as possible. And as you can see here, the problems with our RCS. Because we don't have balanced setup, our ship tries always to rotate and not to move directly left, right, up or down. Note to self, always balance RCS out. Also, batteries will help a lot with such a tiny ship. They really will. because bum, no electricity. How sad. Fortunately for us, it was only a couple of minutes before the sunrise, and we are going to do it again. Trying to fight our RCS that always tries to turn the ship in the most weird and stupid way. And we're fighting. And it actually looks like we have a connection. Yes, we do. On our last drops of RCS fuel, we actually managed to do it and docked with the lander stage. And on this note, let us end this episode. In our next episode, we're going to send this ship to Leif. Hopefully, it is going to land, and hopefully, Jebediah is here. So it's either Bill or Bob will be able to grab onto it and get into the slender can so that we can return him home. Thank you all for watching. Remember to like, dislike, comment this video in the section below. If you like what you see, please consider clicking the subscribe button, and you will be able to get notifications about all of my new videos at the point when they are released. Goodbye, and I'll see you in the next episode.